The greatest robberies in history are rarely carried out with guns or masked men. They are usually committed on an ordinary afternoon inside a quiet parliamentary chamber through signatures that attract no attention. Most people believe money is merely a medium of exchange, but financial history whispers a far darker truth. Money has always been a mechanism of control, a tool of dominance, and a quiet instrument of power. Today, we're uncovering what modern finance refers to as its first silent coup, an event known to history as the crime of 1873, the deliberate killing of silver. By the late 19th century, the American economy and much of the world operated under a bimetallic standard. Gold and silver circulated together, anchoring money to tangible reality. In this system, silver was not an afterthought. It was widely accepted as the people's money, the currency of farmers, workers, small merchants, and everyday trade. Gold, on the other hand, was concentrated. It moved quietly among banks, financial houses, and elites. Silver circulated freely, gold accumulated silently. And that distinction mattered. In 1873, without public debate and without popular awareness, a law was passed that quietly stripped silver of its monetary role. Overnight, silver was demonetized. The world was forced onto a gold-only standard. This was not a technical correction, it was not an accident, and it was certainly not neutral. It was a cold, calculated accounting operation, designed to crush debtors and enrich creditors. History teaches us a simple but brutal lesson. When an asset is deliberately made scarce, everyone who owes that asset becomes trapped. With silver removed from circulation, the money supply contracted instantly. Gold, now artificially rare, surged in value. For farmers and workers who had borrowed under the assumption that silver would remain money, this was nothing short of an execution order. Their debts did not change, but the money required to repay them became harder to find, more expensive to obtain, and increasingly controlled by financial institutions. Some economists have described this moment as the birth of a financial serfdom, a system in which labor is silently pledged to a rare money regime controlled by creditors. Gresham's law teaches us that bad money drives good money out of circulation. But in 1873, the system did something far more insidious. It reversed the law itself. Instead of letting markets decide, lawmakers legislated good money out of existence. Silver was not defeated by economics, it was eliminated by law. Just as Roman emperors once reduced the silver content of their coins to quietly tax the population, the architects of 1873 altered the monetary standard itself, transferring wealth from the base of society to its peak. This was one of the most covert wealth transfers in financial history. The public was promised prosperity through the golden glow of stability. What they received instead was the foundation of a debt-based empire. To bankers, silver was problematic. It was abundant, it was decentralized, and it was difficult to control. Gold, by contrast, flowed easily into vaults, reserves, and private hoards. With the crime of 1873, monetary control was pulled away from a broadly accessible commodity and funneled into a narrow corridor governed by centralized institutions and financial elites. This moment became the first large-scale laboratory for the debt-based monetary architecture we now inhabit. And this story does not belong to dusty archives, because history does not repeat itself, but it always rhymes in the language of money. The death warrant signed in 1873 did not end there. It paved the road to the confiscation of gold in 1933, the Nixon Shock of 1971, when money was severed entirely from physical reality, and finally to today's debate over central bank digital currencies. In 1873, financial alternatives were removed. Today, the discussion revolves around making money programmable, deciding not only how much you own, but where, when, and how you may use it. Many analysts argue that the logic behind the destruction of bimetallism is identical to the modern push toward eliminating physical cash. This is not a prophecy, it is a historical pattern. In modern finance, money is no longer a neutral measure of value. It has become a policy instrument, wielded by governments and central banks. The same mindset that removed silver from the farmer's pocket in 1873 is now designing algorithms that may one day determine what you can spend, when you can spend it, and under what conditions. This is not innovation alone. It is the gradual transfer of financial sovereignty from individuals to centralized systems. History reminds us that laws are rarely written to protect the people. More often, they are written to protect the system from the people. CBDCs represent the digitized echo of the crime of 1873. Both aim to sever access to decentralized, physical, and uncontrollable forms of value. When your savings exist only as numbers on a screen, you may discover, just as silver holders did in 1873, that you can become outside the system overnight. Inflation as continuous confiscation, combined with digital restraints, creates an ecosystem with no obvious exit. The system promises convenience and speed. What it quietly removes is the most fundamental condition of ownership: independence. The death of silver in 1873 was not merely the banning of a metal. It was the elimination of the possibility that money could remain democratic. Today, the same mechanisms reappear under different names in newer technologies. If you fail to understand these patterns, your future will always remain collateral on someone else's balance sheet. History is not just a report written by winners. It is a warning left behind by those who lost. And remember this: what was killed in 1873 was not silver, it was choice. Markets will always recover. Empires will always invent new currencies. But once you sell the soul of money, no treasury has yet been discovered that can buy it back. If money defines freedom, who truly controls it today? If scarcity can be engineered by law, what else can be quietly removed tomorrow? And if history keeps rhyming, are we living through another silent signature moment right now? History has answers. I merely show you where to look. And if this deep financial journey has given you a new perspective, like the video and subscribe, because the real story begins the moment you recognize the system you're living inside.